Right, first and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashin Yahweh Bashin Kakwadash. I want to give double honor to the Apostle, the GMS, the Rule of Well, that are our beloved teachers. Uh, peace, blessings, salutations to the hopeful. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect out there. Now, this is Shaquat Kara from GMS Virginia, back at it again. Just real quick, something before camp. Just going into, how you want to say, the strategic political plan, war against Judah, the so-called Negroes here in America that was brought over here in slave ships from the west coast of Africa that were prior got into the land escaping Vespasian and Titus in 70 A.D. from the destruction of Jerusalem. House of Judah consists of, well, prior we were called the Jews, which consists of the three tribes of Benjamin, Levi, and Judah. But to fast forwarding on today, you see our people in a lost cause, and our punishment, we're being paid back for what we did to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah. So we've been given to the hands of these Edomites, the so-called white man here in America, to the elites, the top power bankers that has the power on the left-hand side. And they have strategically destroyed the men of our nation, going back to Exodus, the first chapter, to get them out the way, to get them out the picture, to make them weak and docile, so it won't be really no blood and no war, drawn out war. You can sleep good at night, and you can make money, cause it's not good. You know how America was building and coming along to the infrastructure and the powerhouse it is today. It did not need that war between Esau and Jacob in the forefront where all nations can look in. So they had to do a strategically plan and a strategically war on us to make it seem like, this is pretty much done by our own hand. It's just black on black crime. Niggas just hate each other. But, everything we see today is actually been strategically planned and done on us. I had a Jake, one of my mans, the brothers, certain brothers even know him from up top. But he called me today. We were just talking about Jake, man, how he came from the islands, and you had so-called niggas here in America. They were just ignorant, and they were just the culture of niggas here in America was just deaf. And we were talking about a lot of times when niggas used to bully you, man, they moms just used to be on drugs. They come from fucked up homes, and they try to make you feel bad, but really they lives were fucked up. But back to the point. This is a article. This is old one from 2011 from this website, Color Lines. I didn't really go into it. I just came across this article. It says Jezebel's welfare queens and now criminally bad black so-called black mothers. And another thing too, a lot is coming out now about what mothers have done to their children. And see, this is what Esau wanted. Even going, like I always say, even going back to the book, the Willie Lynch letter, because this is what they wanted, to get the man out of the picture, so it can be a easily, war erected on us, constructed on us, so it would never be a rebel. But Esau forgot that we were the children of Israel. There's going to be a higher power intervene, and that's how Yahweh, starting with Yahweh, he's going to show his power. Going into Romans, the 9th chapter. So it says, in the last 20 years, the women of color have become the fastest growing segment of the prison population. And due to these mothers having to, they fell for the bait, feminism, sexual liberation, because again, when you go into the feminist movement, you had the Edomite woman, which is the devil, And then who did you have? The so-called black queen, the so-called black woman. So, this whole notion of the so-called black woman being how the way she is really because she fell for it. She thought it was it was better to go with the serpent instead of just sticking behind her man, regardless of the thing that was going on. Of course, things was going on because hey, I mean, look the territory that we're on. This is a Warwick. This is not a land of peace. This is America was felt of war and destruction, rape, robbery, murder. So we are not on easy grounds. It like that old Keith Murray song, "We're standing on dangerous grounds." So, driven in large part by new classes of crimes that have been created or relabeled, said University of Hawaii criminologist Meta Chesney Lynn. But 20 years ago, crimes like the sale of possession of tiny amounts of drugs or drug use during pregnancy were not even considered crimes. Today, they are feeling a massive uptick in incarceration rates. The addition of mandatory minimum prison sentencing over the years eliminated judges' discretion and contributed to these racially disparate increases. And Nelson's story illustrates another mechanism of the criminal justice system where racial biases can go unchecked. District attorneys commonly are publicly elected officials and go so glom onto cases that grab headlines and spark the eerie of their voting base. Because the crime of America, like the saying, crime pays. Again, they demonize the so-called black man so they can pretty much get them out the way. They're not a problem. So-called black men aren't threats. And another reason why a lot of atrocities and things happen to our people because the so-called black man has lost his power. So again, if somebody push him, basically, if a nation or anybody comes again in our neighborhood and we push against them, we will be demonized. It's like if Moab, so-called Chinese, build up his infrastructure amongst our communities, which so-called black people have been in for years, and if we burn down that building, we'll get punished for that. So basically, overall, America's not our home. This is not our land. But I don't understand. Well, we understand, but Jake don't realize America is not our homeland. This is not our land. This is not our you're not American. So it says the child welfare and criminal justice system both are punitive institutions that target poor black women for punishment for harms to their children that are really caused by social inequality. And the thing about it, yes, that's why they deprive the so-called black man from economic, social, class, engineering, and all sorts of ways to keep his household in any order or any military or any power. You can read you can read those books on Dr. Claude Anderson. He breaks that down. He goes into it heavy. And since the so-called black man is can't basically compete, he's considered a joke and laughed at, and that's why all these systems and functions and structure that's here in America, they prey on the so-called black woman, and that's why ultimately, that's why they it's easy to buy a black bitch cheap and make her a fool, make her look stupid as hell, because again, the so-called black man can't even check her. We can't even basically tell her anything because the so-called white man gave her the license to destroy our nation. You can to see the destruction of a nation is their woman. And when you read the book of Deuteronomy 18, it talks about the spoils of war. And when you conquer the man, you go in and take their women. And see, that's why the so-called black man is so lost, because he doesn't understand we are at war with the so-called white man. And that's why these niggas fall for everything. You can buy a nigga cheap. And that's why when a nigga gets some type of money, where does he go? He goes right around his enemy. He kisses his ass on his enemy. Instead of realizing, me and the brother was listening to one of those West Side Gun mixtapes, and I think it was Hitler Harms, in the beginning it talks about it was a Jake from New York. I can't if you know you know. Basically it was a Jake talking about he gets at Edomites. But it says the animus toward, let me see. Yeah, it said Dorothy Roberts, a legal scholar on race, gender, and child welfare policy at Northwestern University. The animus toward poor black mothers in particular, Roberts said, is part of a long historical tradition of stereotypes that focus on their supposed twin evils, hypersexuality and inadequate motherhood. And that's what they focus on. Roberts pointed to the Jezebel image that was popular in the days of slavery, the image of a promiscuous woman with an insatiable sexual appetite. Sexy Red, Sukiana, Trina, Little Kim, Foxy Brown. Who I remember? Even these so-called black women that call themselves comedians, which they're not. And when you really look at all the women, even R&B, you know, is always over sexualized, and just in general, our people always been throwing sex in front of us, sex. So it says, so yeah, the so-called black woman has become over sexualized, and the so-called black man. It justified both her enslavement and white men's sexual violence against her that gave way to the creation of a contradictory mammy stereotype after emancipation of a black woman who was a sexual caretaker and therefore not a threat to white people. The popular image of black women in turn morphed into the masculinized image of the black matriarch in the 1960s, who dominated her household and in so doing destroyed her family. I gotta look. As well. I can look that up. The black matriarch in the 1960s, because that goes back to our grandmothers, and our mothers. That whole notion that was during that time when here in America was critical. Jake, the so-called man, even Northern Kingdom, so-called Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Dominicans, and even the so-called Mexicans, they were forming a league because they were getting fed up, man, because the injustice and the inequality in the treatment, the bad treatment they was getting here. So it's the Ronald Reagan 1980s ushered in the welfare queen trope. Your boy Ronald Reagan, black women were supposedly having babies just to collect welfare checks and then squandering the money. Roberts said it had nothing to do with love. By the late 1980s and 1990s, the stereotype of the black pregnant crack addict crack baby became the new dominant stereotype of black women. So again, the reason why we're here at this day is because all these presidents and Supreme Courts and legislation had every hand to do with the dysfunction of the so-called black community, so-called black people here in America. And it's crazy because a lot of people fail to realize and see that what has happened, and they have a blind eye to this. That's why a lot of Edomites can come out of their mouth and talk shit about so-called blacks, and not knowing you're part of the fucking reason. That's why the day payback, man. I'm telling you. So it says, so yeah, all these images were used to fuel policy that targeted and criminalized black women and justified taking black women children away from them. And I'm again this how you say this website. I'm not sure. I didn't look more until I just saw the article. And I just read a little bit on it. This where I started on down. I'm like, okay, but again, it started with they gave it to the man because again he was deprived from income, and we all understand what happened, man. The Edomites, again, they demonized our record, they demonized us. We had it together, then they bombed us. They put highways in where Jake dwelled, and they also man, it's so much history that it's so much war and strategic plans that Esau did to the so-called black man. It's Again, it can never be forgiven. So and to the point to get again, it was all this was done to the so-called black man to get him out of the way so he can attack our woman. Because when you got control, basically when you even it says in the Willie Lynch letter, you control the woman, you could basically control the how you say the nation. And once you break the so-called black man down to the point of him being weak, independent, and really that's the mother would do that. So at again they broke the so-called black man down during the 60s. They got that last bit of rebelliousness out of the so-called black man, and then due to the matriarchy, the woman that destroyed the men. And this is that's why it's a lot of complaining on now of seeing that these new so-called black men are weak as hell and effeminate. So when you read the book of Willie Lynch, it tells you and goes into all of that. So this was all strategically done. And like I said, yeah, since the so-called black man was out the way, yeah, it's nothing to get you black women because again, you have no hedge. And again, since the other tribes see the dysfunction of so-called black people here in America, they're not going to step up to the help. So it says it's just a long history of negative stereotypes of black women that have changed over time to suit the political circumstances, but that focus on our responsible childbearing and mothering. And again, they do things that looks presentable and look good for our people, but in the longevity, it bites them in the ass. It's not for our people. So all these, the welfare, the government assisted, the being dependent on the system, it really is not good for our people at all. Like I said, welfare, just like how Esau is colonizing these other nations and setting them up on a I forgot what you call it, that system that they do with these other nations. They imperialize the other nation and put them on a system where they have to basically be for America and the legislation and the laws. And if they don't, they pretty much break them and put taxes on them and make them pay. Same thing with us. If our people don't bend the will, they can't get Section 8 housing, food, etc., which breeds bad behavior. Because again, the so-called white man would never give you enough to make you self-sufficient, to build, to make you self-sufficient and not needing him. The so-called white man has become our pimps, but the pimp to the so-called black woman. So it says that thread that joins them is the idea of total sexual immorality and responsible reproductive responsibility on the part of the black woman, who become a burden on the state and also have no maternal bond with their children. And that's why these women, the so-called black women, has become completely out of fucking hand. And again, it's a website, not a website. It's a thing on YouTube. You can look up. It talks about the how even the movie, the TV, the rap, the music was all conditioning for our people to become the way they are. So it says, let me see. Robert said that this particular trend of black mom blaming is on the rise because social inequality. So people are hungry for an explanation for the unprecedented inequality in the country. And yes, so-called blacks we are angry because again, our mothers, our grandparents really never told us we are at war. They just pretty much try to make it. And then a lot of distrust, a lot of hate, so-called black on black crime, were due to our hatred and our anger, we took it out on each other, not understanding what was going on, not really recognize what's going on. But the so-called white man always been, and also go back to our spirituality. The so-called white man putting up the so-called white Jesus, Cesare Borgia, that was like the ultimate blow. So when you look at anything dealing with God or anything about the scriptures, It really made you like docile. It really made you respect and have reverence for the so-called white man. So when you spoke, you shut up and listened. But when your own people talked, you was at anger. You was not at ease. You didn't listen, and that's how it was easy for Esau to pay a nigga cheap to mislead his people. So it says, and that's where you thus have the blame game. Oh, the black man ain't this, the black woman, the black man, the black woman, the black man, the black woman, and the black man. Oh, the black man this, and the black man this, and niggas. Like I said, you always got a bunch of niggas. Your Stephen A. Smith niggas. They always pointing the finger at another nigga that look like him, but you never talk about massa. So it says, and it's far easier to blame individuals than it is to indict the policies and culture that have structured poor people's lives. Indeed, as the recession has unfolded, headlines have been filled with examples. Man, goddamn, it's a lot. But I'm not gonna read this whole thing. The hell with that. I'm gonna just scroll through. So I'm gonna just end. I didn't. Fuck that. After that, nah, I'm not reading all of that. I'm gonna go to Baruch 5. Let me see. Okay. So Baruch 4 and 32. Baruch 4:29. So eventually, it's going to be a recompense for those who afflicted us, and the Lord is not going to always have us enduring and going through this, being a reproach, a byword, and a proverb. So this is Baruch 4 and 29. For he that brought, who is that he? Yahweh, that brought these plagues upon you shall bring you everlasting joy with your salvation. Take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee. Miserable are they that inflicted thee, and rejoice at thy fall. Miserable are the cities which thy children served. Miserable is she that received thy sons. For as she rejoiced at thy ruin, and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. Because America is going to be destroyed, and the so-called white man is going to go into captivity. He's going to pay back for 1,000 years everything he has done to the children of Israel. For I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned in the morning. For fire shall come upon her from the everlasting. What is that fire? Those chariots and those nuclear missiles that's going to burn and hit America. So it says, her pride shall be turned in the morning. And again, like these Edomites are so arrogant and so proud, and they want to pretty much put a blind eye for what's has been done to our people. Yeah, that's all right, For fire shall come upon her from the everlasting, long to endure, and she shall be inhabited of devils for a great time. O Jerusalem, look about thee toward the east, and behold the joy that cometh unto thee from Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Because Yahweh is going to send Yahushua. And like the scripture says, he should not meet thee as a man. And it says, lo, thy sons come, whom thou sendest away. They come gathered together from the east to the west by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the glory of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. So again, just like in the earlier verses, come back to we gotta repent and understand why we're in this predicament. You gotta understand not to never trust our enemy. Your enemy is the so-called white man and these other nations that are not Israelites. And the Lord gave us a grace period, to go through what we went through, to wake up and then put your whole heart, to back into Yahweh Shem Rashad, rehearsing, reading about the law, statutes, commandments, and not be, because yes, we have become brute beast, but the Lord is making us, living vessel again. But I want to say with that, Lord's will you was edified. Shalom.